Phillies on top.
But this club just does not die.
He's under it. He's got it. And the game is over.
Baskin
swung on, crushed, and the Phillies are going to lead it 4-0.
Just a towering fly ball to straightaway left.
Schwarber was ready. Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Phrankly Phils podcast. I'm your host, Adam Mack. Welcome back to the AAT Sports Network. As always, on Tuesdays, it is all about the Phillies. Let's just kind of jump right into it. We're not going to go super long tonight, but, it is the month of June, which means it's time for the Phillies to get their heads out of their ass and they start playing some good baseball. We all know that, Kyle Schwarber, this is his month. So, April and May were our strong suits, but in classic Philly tradition, we don't really start until 2 months into the season. But it is the month of June. Phillies are doing really, really solid right now. So we're gonna kind of kick it off. We're gonna get into a little bit of the minor, what the Phillies are doing. Get into a little bit of the minor leagues a little bit later, and then kind of obviously hit on the big one. But we're gonna start off with the big issue with the Phillies that we all kind of know, the fifth starter position. Looking at the Phillies right now, the obvious thing that's wrong with this team is that fifth starter spot. We're essentially have a four-man rotation, and that fifth spot, it's just so up in the air right now, and it's just an awful position to be in because essentially we're taking a loss every 5 games. So I know going on Twitter and some of these Facebook groups, for the last, all day, the big person that's getting kind of the shit for it is obviously Dave Dombrowski, and they're not putting out a good product. But we're gonna kind of hit on some names that I want to talk about regarding the fifth starter position. Either guys that we can bring in via trade, internal options, or see some guys down in the minor leagues. It's gonna kind of move us in then a little bit later into the Max Minor report and talk a little bit about what's going on in the minor leagues. For the Phillies a little bit, but obviously internally, if guys that are currently in the Phillies, I think there's only one possible option. That's gonna be Matt Strahm. For a while, Matt Strahm was the best pitcher the Phillies had. Unfortunately, that obviously didn't last long, and other guys kind of stepped up. But Matt Strahm is probably the only internal option of guys that are on the team right now. And ultimately, I don't think he's kind of come back to reality and realized he's more of a relief pitcher, and I don't see him truthfully taking over that, that full-time starter position right now for the club. I just think it's a bad move for them all. But just looking at the internal options for the Phillies, like there really isn't much currently on the Phillies right now other than Matt Strahm. And it's just when Matt Strahm has to go into the game, it's a bullpen game. He's only going to go at most 5. If he can get to the 5th inning, I think it's a solid start for him. But in reality, he's a 3 to 4 inning guy, and ultimately for those games, that means it's a bullpen game. That means we're going to go deep into the pen, and we can see that's not going to do well for our guys. And we saw it last night where Matt Strahm struggled, and it put the bullpen in a really, really tough situation. So the bullpen games are good if you're going to get 3 solid innings out of your pitcher. It was great last year when Noah Syndergaard could go for the bullpen games because he was going to give you 3 strong innings and he was going to put the team in a good position to win. Unfortunately, Matt Strahm just isn't that guy anymore. He's not really going to put the team in a position to win. He might give up a few runs here and there, but ultimately, ultimately he's not putting the team in enough position to win right now. So internally, I think Matt Strahm is the only option. However, I think they need to look elsewhere. Now, the other option internally would be calling someone up from the farm system. I know there's top 3 guys that everyone keeps, raving over: Andrew Painter, Mick Abel, and Griff McGarry. I know everyone keeps getting hyped up on them. I don't see Painter and McGarry being ready. Painter is still rehabbing a UCL injury. He never had surgery, but everyone keeps saying as soon as he's ready, ready to go. He's getting called up, and ultimately he's been shut down. He threw a 20-pitch bullpen session just the other day, but ultimately I can't, he hasn't really thrown live BP yet. He hasn't thrown a simulated game. Hasn't even pitched in a regular season game yet. So Painter, I don't think is going to be called up for that fifth starter. I think next year, however, he is a strong candidate to be that fifth starter. But right now, I can't see Painter getting that. I'm going to skip over Abel for a second, go to Griff McGarry. Griff McGarry, I think he's the same thing. He's rehabbing an injury. He came back, missed the first month or so, a little bit less maybe with an injury. He's been battling injuries his whole career. I think he might be a guy to possibly move on, but he's 24. He really is, he's a third-ranked prospect, but he has a lot of injury concerns. And I know the Phillies they want to be optimistic, they want to be patient with him, but ultimately right now it's every year there's been some sort of injury concern with him. So I think maybe a move away from McGarry right now. They've been really hesitant on his pitches, and his innings, not going more than 4 innings in a start. So McGarry, I don't think is going to be that option. And then Mick Abel, I think, has been the best overall pitcher in the Phillies farm system this year. He's had a couple rough starts here and there. That's going to happen to any pitcher. I don't expect him to go out and throw, 10 innings, or 9 innings, give up no hits, no earned runs. It's a little bit uncalled heard of. Obviously, he's still a very young pitcher. So they're not going to pitch him, deep into the game. So he usually goes about 5 innings. Last start, 5 innings, 6 strikeouts, no hits. Was an unbelievable performance. He has a lot of great performances. And my favorite thing about Abel is, and I keep going with these pitchers, is he's putting the team, when he exits the game, in a good position to win the game at the end. Now, the Reading Fighting Phils are a bad baseball team, so the offense has completely ruined him. But yo, Jose, my man. As soon as you can get Susie to respond to my DMs, we'll get all of us out of game then. Best thing about Abel, I think he's been the best pitcher in my opinion for the Phillies farm system this year. He's obviously had a couple rough starts, but I really like him. I really think he's going to be a good pitcher. And I think a promotion up to AAA should be in his future really soon. And ultimately, I think if we're going to promote someone from the farm system, Mick Abel is going to be that guy. There's no injury concerns this year. He's been really solid at the AA level. Hoping to get him up to AAA. Hope as soon as they possibly can. Just get him a little bit higher of competition. And if he can succeed at AAA and still pitch as well as he's doing in AA right now, I see really no reason why they can't call him up to the major leagues by end of July, honestly, mid-July, All-Star break time frame, because he really has been the best pitcher in the Phillies farm system this year. He is healthy, and ultimately we need that fifth starter. If they don't want to give up prospects, they don't want to give up any capital, Mick Abel is going to be that guy. Like I said, Painter, ultimately, he hasn't pitched this. He's only pitched in the one spring training game, looked decent. But no, there is a lot of injury concern. He's only 19. I don't think the Phillies want to rush his development at all. I know there was talk that he was, that a strong candidate prior to him going down. But, right now, I think the Phillies are just trying to be as patient as possible. The last thing I think they really want to do is throw his arm out, before he turns even 21. So Painter, I can see getting that call up. I think he's still a strong candidate next year. But ultimately, I don't see him getting that call up this year. Same thing for McGarry. He's just too many injury concerns right now. Solid pitcher when he's healthy. When he's on, he's almost unhittable. I really like him. However, there's just so many injury concerns when it comes to Griff McGarry that I don't think it's going to benefit him at all, rushing his development at all. So I think McGarry is going to be the guy that probably stays in AA a little bit longer. If we do go to the third option, which is trying to find a trade, pick someone up via trade, I think Griff McGarry is going to be a really good trade piece. Has a lot of upside, has a really high ceiling for the club. But ultimately, I think, there's a lot of question marks of what we're going to get out of him just because there is a lot of injury concerns. So looking to the third option via the trade market, there's 3 names that I've kind of been circling I think would be really solid. So the first one is Shane Bieber, the former Cy Young for the Cleveland Guardians. You know, I think it's going to cost a little bit more. Could cost the a, the price of a guy like Griff McGarry, but he's a fairly low ERA this year. His stats have been down, but we're looking for a fifth starter right now. I think he'd be a really, really good addition to our rotation. The thing I really, really kind of like about him is he's under contract until the end of till December 2024. So Phillies would have a good opportunity. It wouldn't be just a rental. So, I hate to everyone always talks about trying to get Ohtani at the deadline, but Ohtani's a straight rental for a few months, and I don't think the Phillies want to do that. So getting a guy like Shane Bieber, who wouldn't be a rental, you still get all of 23 out of him and all of 2024 out of him. I think it would be a really good boost for our rotation. So that's going to be the first name. Another name, we're going to go Corbin Burns for the Milwaukee Brewers. Same thing, under contract until December 2024. So it wouldn't be a rental. Probably going to be a high cost. So a price of like a guy like Griff McGarry might be worth it. The big thing, which he's not real big in the conversation of being, available right now, but he had talks with the Brewers about a contract extension. Those contract talks abruptly ended. So, he could be on the move for the right price. I think I'm paying, the price of a guy like Griff McGarry. It might be a good boost and a good to get a guy like Burns, really fill out that rotation with Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, and Walker. And then the last one, this would be a rental. Lucas Giolito from the White Sox. He's going to be a free agent. He's arguably the best pitcher on the free agent market this year, with the exception of Ohtani. He really just stepped up from previous years. He's been a really, really strong player, and the White Sox are probably going to be sellers at this year's deadline. Kind of move on from guys like Tim Anderson, Giolito. So I think that might be a good move for them. So those are three names I think should keep out for: Bieber, Burns, and Giolito, however you want to pronounce his name today. But ultimately the Phillies need to find that fifth starter. Losing every 5 games like that is just not going to be good for a winning a championship caliber team. The offense is finally starting to click on all cylinders. Like Schwarber's really coming together. Turner has been hitting the ball a lot better. Obviously, Castellanos has been just unbelievable. He's having probably the best season of his career. Real Muto is starting to kind of come together. Just hit for the first cycle in Phillies since 2004 for the Phillies. Harper obviously is just as good as he usually is. But even Stott, we're starting to get guys back who are healthy. Bohm is returning from injury. You have Christian Pache on rehab starts. Derek Hall on rehab assignments right now. So, the team's really coming back to full strength and are really starting to play really good baseball. Now we just need to find that fifth starter. The last kind of option I think there is one internal option, and that's going to be Christopher Sanchez. He was, I think it was between him and truly Andrew Painter for that fifth starter spot during spring training. And unfortunately for the Phillies, both of them went down with injuries. Sanchez did some rehab assignments, but once he got to AAA, kind of stayed there. He's been one of the best pitchers for the Iron Pigs this season. Just a couple weeks ago, he was going in 2 starts, giving up two wins, 11 innings, 9 strikeouts in 2 games. I think it was unbelievable performances from him. So I really want to see the Phillies give Christian Sanchez a chance. I think he really, he's earning that opportunity. He has the major league experience. He's on the 40-man roster. And ultimately, people need to realize, with that fifth starter, we're not looking for an ace. We're not looking for a guy like Max Scherzer, Shane McLaughlin, Sandy Alcantara. We're not looking for an ace for the fifth starter. We're looking for a fifth starter, a guy to get us into the 6th or 7th inning, but continues to put us in a position to win. I think that's the big thing we need to remember with our pitchers is, they might have some rough starts. They might give up a couple runs. The Phillies, Strom yesterday just gave up the 1 run to start the game, but then, Phillies came back and scored 5. to take a 5-1 lead. So I think people need to remember that we're looking for a fifth starter. We're not looking for an ace. And that fifth starter, all they really need to do is put us in a position to win for once they go hand the ball over to the bullpen. We can't expect all of our guys to go 9 innings every single game, throw 120 pitches. Ultimately, that's just not. It's going to kill our pitching. We'll have a lot more injuries, and then we'll get to the World Series again, and all of our pitchers will just burn out. So I think Christopher Sanchez should be the move. I know there was talk about Bailey Falter being available on Monday or Saturday against the Athletics. But, he was originally optioned down to AAA a couple weeks ago because he was absolutely atrocious in MLB. He's been really, really solid in AAA. He went down to single A to keep his arm fresh. Same thing, really, really solid in low A. Today he was absolutely atrocious. One and a third, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk. It was absolutely abysmal performance. Especially for a guy that I was hoping that a stint down in the minors was going to do wonders for him. I don't know how well this is going to do for his confidence going into if he were to be recalled from AAA. So, ultimately, I'm not sure if this is going to hold him back for another year or another start, or if they're going to still bring him up and make him available on Saturday. But, it was a really bad performance from him today. So I'm curious what they're going to do with him on that one. I don't think I think it's a good move to keep him down there. And I think the guy, like I keep saying, I think Christopher Sanchez should be the guy to get that get that opportunity to be the fifth starter. They've tried, it seems like everybody else. Stram, Connor Brogdon got a start. Dylan Covey got a start. A bunch of different people got these opportunities. I think Christopher Sanchez is worthy of that opportunity one last time to get that opportunity as the fifth starter. So Matt Stram, I think, has been solid. I think he's a good reliever. I think he's a good reliever that could possibly give us 2 innings out of the bullpen on occasion. But ultimately, I think, if we're going to keep it internal, it should be Christopher Sanchez for right now. But with the idea that Mick Abel could take over that fifth starter spot by end of June, early August, at latest September. So Phillies have options internally in their farm system right now. I think they just need to start making some roster changes, designating Dylan Covey for assignment. I think might be a move just because he's struggled a lot. Had the one really solid start, but other than that, he's been pretty mediocre in all of his outings. So I think right now, I think there's a lot of changes that could happen from this in the roster, especially with the pitching. I think designating Dylan Covey for assignment, recalling Christopher Sanchez might be the move. A couple other guys that they've been messing around with. Luis Ortiz has been recalled from AAA. I'm so curious about what they're going to do with Andrew Bellotti and Connor Brogdon. 2 kind of moves I was surprised about. I wasn't really expecting Connor Brogdon to go down when Jose Alvarado was brought back up, but hoping to see that might be just, a short stint, work out some kinks that, he hasn't been great, hasn't been bad. I didn't think he was really deserved to be sent down, but if it's going to help him get some work done, work on some mechanics, I'm all for it. The bullpen's in really, really good shape. Craig Kimbrell's really coming together. Gregory Soto's been solid. We already know how great Jose Alvarado is. Sir Anthony's having some solid starts. So there's a lot of things I think good that's going on with the Phillies bullpen. I just think right now they're not going to be at full strength because I think they're just letting Bellotti and Brogdon kind of just get a little more work done down in AAA, and then they can recall them up to the majors and move on from Covey, send down Ortiz, keep Junior Marte, how you pronounce it, in AAA, kind of where he deserves. But but looking at the Phillies offense, I'm gonna bring up an idea that I keep getting a little bit of hate for. I can see why, I can't see why, but it's kind of the move of Josh Harrison. Obviously, he was brought in as a utility guy, not an everyday player. Excuse me. Ultimately, I think the Phillies should move on from Josh Harrison. Either move him down to AAA, package him in a trade, or just honestly DFA him. I think there's better options um, to get rid of him. I think a guy like Jake Cave or Drew Ellis, one of those two guys, I think deserves to be on the Phillies, lineup and kind of be more of a utility guy than Josh Harrison. Ultimately, I think both, at least Drew Ellis, when he came up to the Phillies, he was a really solid player. Um, didn't know what to expect from him, but he had some really big hits. He didn't seem like he missed much of a beat. He was one of the best players in Lehigh Valley during his 1 month there. And I was nervous that once he got up to major leagues that it was going to be all a fluke, but Drew Ellis was just as solid. Obviously, now that Bohm is back, Drew Ellis got optioned back down to AAA. But I really think the Phillies should move on from Josh Harrison. Not that he's done anything wrong, but I think there's just better options right now for the club. Excuse me again. Jake Cave has been just unbelievable for the Iron Pigs. He's started his tenure with an 18-game hitting streak. He has multiple big hits. He was hitting home runs, it seemed like, every game. But I really think, getting Jake Cave back up, I really think if he gets the opportunity to go back up to the Phillies, he's going to return as a much, much different player than what he left on May 4th, when obviously he was sent down in favor of Bryce Harper. So I think getting a guy like Drew Ellis and or Jake Cave back up in the majors, I think he's going to do really, really well for the Phillies, and just provides that big bat, in key situations if they need a pinch hitter. Drew Ellis is not a bad defender. He can play first and third. So, gives him more flexibility with Bohm to move over from first to third. Can put Sosa back as a utility guy rather than an everyday player. So I really think by bringing Drew Ellis up, you open more doors, put guys back in their roles I think they're more comfortable with, better roles that I think they are going to more likely succeed with. So I like bringing Drew Ellis up. I know the big thing is, with Jake Cave, not bringing him up is, he's a left-handed bat. They have a lot of lefties already in the lineup between Schwarber, Marsh, and Stott. But, I just think that Josh Harrison would be, I think moving on from him in some sort of fashion would be just best for the club. But we're gonna get a little into the minor leagues now. I already kind of hit on the AA guys, but we'll talk about Single A, the Clearwater Threshers. Fun fact: they're the number one team, best minor league baseball team in all of baseball. Clinched the West Division. They're currently 40-15. Currently got 9 guys in the Phillies top 30 prospects. The guy I really, really like, not because of his fame or anything, but I think he has the opportunity to be a Phillies everyday player, and he really does look like an all-star. Justin Crawford. He's currently the 4th-rated prospect, has a slash line of 336, 394, 830. He leads the team in hits, RBIs, and triples. This is why I keep saying he's the best player on the best baseball team. Usually with the best player on the best team is going to be an awful good player. I really, really like Justin Crawford. He's super young. He's only 19. I don't see why a promotion again isn't in his future. He was already promoted once this year. He started the season in rookie ball, and then got that promotion to low A with Clearwater. So Justin Crawford's a guy I think you should all really keep an eye on and really focus on. I think a guy for the future. I think there's very few guys that I consider untouchables in via trade. Justin Crawford, I think is probably the most untouchable player for me in the Phillies farm system, just because I think he has so much upside, and I really believe he's going to be a star for the club. So keep an eye on him. Pretty much the other player in the for the Clearwater, Alex McFarland. He's the Phillies 8th-rated prospect. Like most minor league pitchers, they don't have large numbers in their pitching. He usually only goes, oh my God. He usually only goes about 3 to 4 innings in his starts. So he's yet to record a win this year, but he's had 10 starts, 58 strikeouts, an ERA of 3.86, and has an opponent batting average of 239. Obviously he's young. He's not going to throw a lot of pitches. He's not going to go a lot of innings. So keep an eye out for him. Solid pitcher right now. Oh my God. He's obviously not a big of a name like Painter, Abel, McGarry, like kind of guys like that. But right now, I really think, Alex McFarland's a guy that, is kind of going to go under the radar a little bit because he has the 3 big name guys ahead of him. So he's been solid in Clearwater right now. Obviously, it helps when you have a lot of, offensive help. Excuse me. So I'm excited to see what he's able to do. We're going to skip up to AAA. I've already kind of talked about a couple of them, Jake Cave, Bailey Falter. McKinley Moore, he struggled in his stint in the MLB, his first stint. He's actually been one of the more reliable pitchers, bullpen arms with Pigs. So far he's pitched in 11 games, has an ERA of 1.5, 20 strikeouts. I don't believe this is the end of him. I think we're going to see him again this season, especially if they're not going to move Christopher Sanchez up. Obviously, no one's going to. A lot of guys struggle in their first stints getting called up. It's very rare that we see guys enter the MLB and immediately become stars. So I really think McKinley Moore is going to get that opportunity either this year or next. Andrew Bellotti was that big kind I mentioned earlier, a real big surprise to get moved down when Jose Alvarado returned. He started off really, really solid, literally unhittable, didn't give up a hit. Lot of strikeouts, not a lot of hits, not a lot of walks. Really solid. Kind of came back down to reality a little bit more in recent outings, but still a really reliable arm. Hoping to see. Think it was just more a little work some kinks out. I still think the Phillies are going to make some moves, especially with Luis Ortiz still getting that call up. A guy like Connor Brogdon and Andrew Bellotti are 2 very good options. Brogdon, I don't believe, has pitched again for the Iron Pigs since being optioned down. That could change today in their game against the Mud Hens. Christian Pache, one I was kind of a little bit surprised about with him in AAA. Obviously, when the Phillies signed him or traded for him, it was more focused on because of his defensive presence. And his bat really came alive. He struggled the first week, but after that first week, he really became one of the most reliable Phillies hitters. Some really good at bats. Still a young guy, so made a couple young guy mistakes, but he was one of the surprises of the Phillies this year, especially on a team that was struggling. He was a real glimpse of hope for the team. Obviously, the injury really derailed everything. He hasn't recorded a hit in AAA so far on his rehab starts. I know it's a small sample size. I know we can't judge a lot. It is just a worth noting. He hasn't recorded a hit. Could change today. No idea what the stat line is right now for the Iron Pigs in their game today. He's got on base twice via the walk. So not sure what we're really expecting out of him. Not sure if, he just isn't hitting as much anymore during rehab. So worth noting there. And then the big one, Derek Hall. Really curious. He's batting 279 with 8 hits and 27 at bats in AAA. His first start in AAA, he had a walk. He walked it off for the Iron Pigs. The big thing that involves Derek Hall, and we'll talk a little bit about this now, is what are the Phillies going to do at first base? What are they going to do? So here, they have 3 options, in my opinion. Actually, 4. Fourth, the most famous one, move Bryce Harper to first base. Allows the idea of Kyle Schwarber going to the DH spot, Alec Bohm returning to the everyday third base spot. That is one option. Just don't know how it's going to work. To quote Brad Pitt and Moneyball, or whoever played Ron Washington, it is very hard to learn first base. So curious to see if that move actually pays off, because the Phillies actually do have a lot of options at first base. So option number 1, Bryce Harper. Option 2, Alec Bohm. And then you have either probably Sosa or Drew Ellis at third. I think that is probably the most unlikely of the 4 options. I think someone else has to go down. for that option to happen. But Alec Bohm plays first. Option 3, Derek Hall plays first base. Alec Bohm goes to third base. That would probably mean Cody Clemens gets optioned down to AAA. And then option number 4, Cody Clemens plays first base. Alec Bohm returns to third. Derek Hall stays in the minor leagues. Of these 4, I wouldn't be totally upset with any of them. However, I'm really, really excited about Cody Clemens. I really think he's come together. Same thing. People were probably very skeptical of him when he was involved in the trade for Matt Fearling and Nick Maton when we brought over Gregory Soto. But he's really come together both offensively and defensively. He had the walk-off hit the other night. Even yesterday was a foot away from having the go-ahead home run in the top of the ninth against the Diamondbacks. So, I really like what he's come together hitting-wise. Everyone's always kind of surprised because of his dad, but you got to realize, his dad was probably throwing him BP as a kid. So, I really like what he's done offensively. I think he's turned into a really reliable bat. Obviously, I think he's still young and he's still a lot more work to do, but I like what he's done offensively, and then defensively, he's really also kind of come together too. Struggled a little bit early in the year, but he's starting to be a really reliable first baseman. I think he still needs a lot more work, but I think it'd be really, really solid to make him the everyday first baseman in the absence of Rhys Hoskins. Obviously, once Rhys comes back, that's priority number 1, but I really think Cody Clemens has earned that. Nothing is. I think Harper at the DH spot right now, I think is going to have to be the move. I know I hate to keep Schwarber out in left field because we can find a better defender than Kyle Schwarber, but I think right now Cody Clemens at first, Alec Bohm at third base, and keeping Derek Hall as a backup, an emergency player in AAA, I think is the best thing for the club, for everybody. I really think we'll succeed more with Cody Clemens at first base rather than Derek Hall, Alec Bohm, or Bryce Harper. So Phillies have two big areas right now that they have question marks: first base and the 5th starter spot. First base, I think, is a little bit more clear. I really think Cody Clemens has earned it. The talk around the town is Derek Hall. If all goes to plan and everyone stays healthy, knock on wood, he's probably played his last game in the Phillies for this season. I really think Cody Clemens should get that spot. I really think they should kind of go all in with him in the place of Rhys Hoskins. So that's kind of the big one for first base. And then obviously the 5th starter, my personal opinion, I think they should go with Christopher Sanchez, kind of give him that opportunity. He has the MLB experience. He's been really, really good in AAA this year, especially on a bad team with the Iron Pigs. So I like that move for the club. Christopher Sanchez, give him the opportunity. They're trying every single person that can breathe in the organization at that 5th starter. I think it's time to give him that opportunity. But that's kind of the big thing for going down in the minor leagues right now. But we weren't gonna go super long today. I'm kind of feeling under the weather today. The Phillies game actually does start relatively soon, so we're gonna hop off here soon. But keep focusing on the Phillies are really, in my opinion, are really coming together. They're playing great, better baseball. Obviously, they still have some holes in the team that they need to fix. But for right now, I think the team's in a really, really good spot. This stretch of games is really going to make or break this team. A 16-game stretch. I was really, really nervous for. I kept kind of telling myself that, if we can win 8 games out of the next 6 out of 16, I think it was an absolute great thing for us. Just looking at we have the Dodgers, 3-game series against the Dodgers, to win 2 or 3 from the LA Dodgers. Unbelievable. I don't care how we got it done. That's the big thing. They got the job done. So take 2 or 3 from the Dodgers. We obviously had the 4-game series right now with Arizona, where we next 3 starts we have Wheeler, Suarez, and Nola, which is exactly what we want on a really good team in the Diamondbacks. So we have our 3 best guys. The offense is really coming together. Unfortunately, the pitching didn't do the job last night for us. The offense is really, really coming on all cylinders. Then we got the Athletics, where I wouldn't be surprised if we only take 2 or 3. It's really hard to sweep a team nowadays in today's game and age. We saw the Braves drop 2 or 3 from the Athletics, so we'll have Walker and Wheeler for 2 of those games, and then Saturday's starters still up in the air. Then we have a 3-game series against the Braves with Suarez, Nola, and Walker going. Then a 3-game series with the Mets and then the Cubs. So a really tough stretch of games right now for the Phillies. If we can win 8 of 16 games, I think that's a big win for us. Just because this is a really tough stretch. But as I said, they have a lot of kinks. This next few weeks are going to really dictate how the rest of the season goes. We got Chicago, then the Nationals, go to play at Tampa, then we go play at Miami, then it's the All-Star break. So we have a tough schedule till we get to the All-Star break, but right now I really think we got everything kind of going right for us. We have some holes we got to fill in the 5th starter, figure out what we want to do at first base, and really in 2 weeks, I think this team's gonna start clicking on all cylinders. We're only a game or 2 back of the final wild card spot. So it's not like the season's over. We're right in the hunt for a playoff spot. All we need to do is get in. We saw what happened last year once we got in. So we're right where we need to be. But Phrankly Phils is back. Make sure you like, subscribe, share everything on the AAT Sports Network. All the articles, all the tweets, find us all on Twitter. Make sure you tune in to my show all the time for all your Phillies updates, all your Phillies from low A ball all the way up to MLB. So it's going to be a solid rest of the season. As always, I'm Adam Mack. I'm your host, and we'll see you all next week.